Hello, music fans. You're watching Death by Unicorn, a channel where I talk about metal, rock, and prog music. And this is my show called What's New 2024, where I give my first impressions on new releases that came out over the past week. Today, I'm talking about 4 new releases that I've listened to, and I'll talk about them in my order of preference. There's one that I consider a near masterpiece, 2 that I rank as excellent, and 1 that I rank as very good. So let's start with the near masterpiece, which for me is by a new artist called ALMO, and the album's called Reconciliation. This is a debut album from this project from Sweden. It's progressive metal, and like I said, it's a near masterpiece. This is a one-man musical project. The man is Benjamin Almo Thorsel, formerly a member of the band called Frozen Realm, who I'm not familiar with. The first single I heard from this album was called Winter Hound. It was great, reminiscent of Between the Buried and Me, so that got me excited to check out the whole album. When I started listening to the album, I thought the first 2 tracks were good, but they didn't really grab me too much. They made me think this might be a typical one-man, do-it-yourself prog metal album made in someone's bedroom, which it probably is, but it's really well done, because when I heard the third track, that's when it really hooked me. The third track, Hope, it's a great track. It surprised me in a great way with a flute part that kicks in and starts to bring some variety and depth to the album and some unexpected stuff. Panic Attack is also a great track. The title track, Reconciliation, is a 20-minute prog epic, and that's my favorite on the album after a couple listens. It just blew my mind. It even has a Gentle Giant style a cappella syncopated vocal part at 7:14, and I'm always a sucker for that. There's even part of the song that sounds kind of country, which is interesting. I can hear some of the influences here, like Haken, Devin Townsend, and Between the Buried and Me. But if those are Almo's influences, then I'm always interested in hearing music by Almo, because those are some of my favorite bands of all time. This is a near masterpiece that any prog metal fan must hear now. Needless to say, I'll be listening to Almo and anything that they put out in the future. Next up, I'm going to talk about a couple excellent albums. This first one that I'm going to mention is by a band called Whom Gods Destroy, and it's called Insanium. This is another debut album, so it's been a strong week for debut albums. But this is by an American progressive metal supergroup that features Derek Sherinian on keyboards, formerly of Dream Theater, Planet X, Black Country Communion, Sons of Apollo, and more. Ron Bumblefoot Thal on guitar, formerly of Guns N' Roses, Sons of Apollo, Asia, and more. And vocalist Dino Jelicic from Trans-Siberian Orchestra, Whitesnake, and he sang on Michael Romeo's most recent solo album. Drummer Bruno Valverdid from Angra, and bassist Yas Nomura. So it's a all-star cast supergroup for prog metal here. My favorite track on first listen was Crucifier. I just love the riffs, love the time signature changes, love the solos. The guitar and keyboard solos on this album and every song are just amazingly good. Yeah, some of the best at their respective instruments there. Hypernova 158 is a solid instrumental track that is cool if you just want to hear this band's chops. I recommend this for fans of Sons of Apollo, Symphony X, Dream Theater, and then they kind of sound like a mix of those bands, but then they have a couple tracks that sprinkle in some like Meshuggah and Pantera, like groove metal, syncopated, almost djent sound. So it kind of sounds like a mix of those bands. Check it out if that sounds appealing to you. That's Whom Gods Destroy with Insanium. Next, I'm going to talk about Night Verses, who put out an excellent album called Every Sound Has a Color in the Valley of the Night, Part 2. I haven't heard part 1 or any other album by this band yet, but this is the 5th album by this band from the US. It's instrumental progressive post-metal. It's got a lot of different varieties sprinkled in here with some post-hardcore influences, post-rock, alternative metal, metalcore, art rock, math rock, all kind of sprinkled in. It's mostly instrumental, but they are excellent and interesting instrumentals with very cool atmospheric vibes and also some heavy parts. Night Versus used to have a singer, Douglas Robinson, but the band announced his departure in 2017. So they no longer have a vocalist, but they do feature a couple of guest vocalists on some tracks here. To me, it generally has that progressive post-metal vibe. It has some post-rock, alternative metal, metalcore. Glitching Prisms is one of the tracks that has vocals. It was my favorite track on first listen. There's another track called Seance that features Justin Chancellor of Tool, which is also great. I always love his bass work in Tool and any project he plays in. Slow Dose is another one that features vocals. This time it's female vocals and is another great track, probably my second favorite after Glitching Prisms. All in all, this is an excellent album. But my favorite 2 tracks are the ones where they bring in the guest vocalists. I feel like some of the instrumentals could have benefited from vocals. I always tend to prefer vocal music over instrumental music. There was some spoken word on this album that was all right, but sometimes the spoken word stuff can get a little annoying for me. But it's still an excellent album. Check out Night Verses, and Every Sound Has a Color in the Valley of the Night Part 2, if that description sounds appealing to you. And then lastly, the last brand new album that I listened to over the past week, and all of these came out on March 15th, 2024, was DragonForce with Warp Speed Warriors. I didn't quite get up into my excellent tier, but I'm going to call it very good. It's the 9th album by this band from the UK. It's power metal. It's cheesy, it's over the top, but it is very fun to listen to. The lyrics are fantasy-based as usual, the guitars are fast, the vocal hooks are catchy and anthemic and powerfully delivered. The most fun song for me on first listen was Doomsday Party. It's almost like the music DragonForce is making is a bit of a joke at this point and a meme, but they're in on the joke and they're just having a lot of fun. It's not my favorite album by them by any means, but it might just barely crack their top 5. I'd say it's kind of smack dab in the middle of their discography in quality. So it's what you can expect from them in quality. If you like power metal with crazy fast guitar solos and a bit of cheesy, funny fun, you should enjoy this new album from DragonForce, Warp Speed Warriors. And that's it for my first impressions on these 4 new albums that came out over the past week. Did anything else come out recently that you think I might enjoy? Let me know down in the comments. And what do you think of these albums? Stay tuned for next time. Peace out.